Okay, part 2, here we go. Not a whole lot of space here to draw this drawing, but we'll get her done. What's the equation of a circle from the origin has been moved? So right now we know that's my x shift, that's my y shift. So I can get started by going right 3 means x minus 3. Don't forget the squared, that's easy to do. Down 5 means plus 7 squared. Now here's the twist. It has a diameter of 16. Well, that, if I translate this to the drawing, that means the radius is 8. So that would be 8 this way, 8 that way, 8 that way, 8 that way. But my point is that's an 8. Don't you dare put an 8 there. Remember, this is equal to r squared. You have to take that 8, square it. Very easy to forget that. Here's number 10. Number 11. Here's the parabola with the equation blah, blah, blah. What's the vertex? Focus, directrix. Well, let's get that thing drawn. So we know that has to move to the right 3. We know that has to go down 6. Hopefully there's enough space here. So, what do we know the vertex is? 3, negative 6. Because this is a y equals ax squared kind, and a is positive, we know it's going to be a blossoming tulip like that. Now, just to be a little bit accurate, that's going to make it a little bit wide. So, just a generic drawing, it's not perfect. What's the focus? Well, we have, and the directrix? Well, we have to find the letter C. Where are we going to do that? Remember, a equals 1 over 4c. So this time they give us a, it's right there. So 1/4 equals 1 over 4c, and if it's easy, let it be easy. 4 times what is 4? 1. So now we can find our focus and directrix. So this is 3, negative 6. So my focus, which is my pistol, is going to be 1 unit up. So that's going to be 3, negative 5. Now my directrix is going to be 1 down because my tulip blossoms away. So remember what a directrix is. It's the earth. So it's a big long flat line like this. Because it's like this and we went down 1, we know it's y equals negative 7. Don't put x equals. Remember, x equals are vertical lines. Same sort of question, but now we got some work to do. Notice it says identify the vertex, focus, directrix. Now this one was put in what's called vertex form, which helped me just get right after it. So that's your job. And this is why we work so hard at completing the square. Alright, so what do? Well, the way I taught it is you identify the variable that's not squared. You can see that y is squared, x is not squared. So our goal is to take this mess and create x equals ay squared. Now it's going to be a little harder than this, but my point is let's get this thing alone, and we want to keep this squared term positive because we need a 1 in order to complete the square. So just getting started is even challenging. So I'm going to subtract 28x, and I'm going to flip this thing around. So negative 28x equals, here it comes, y squared plus 28x plus 169. All I did was move that over because I'm trying to isolate the x, because I know it's going to be x equals this stuff. So I know we got to get rid of that negative 28 at some point because we only want 1x. Dividing by negative 28 now would just create a nightmare situation. Oh, and I did screw up here. It's not 28x. It is 2y. Forgot about that little bugger. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore this side for a second. We're going to take care of this. Clearly, now the square root of 169 is 13. So you might think, oh, that's y plus 13, y plus 13, which is y plus 13 squared. Hopefully you can see that that is not going to give us our 2y. So good thought if you had it, but it doesn't work. We got to complete the square. So we kick that 169 over, but we got to keep this side of the equation balanced. So whatever we put here, we got to put the opposite here. So what do? We take half of that, it's 1. Squared is 1. But if we put a 1 there, we got to put a negative 1 there. So here it comes. We're going to clean this up now. Negative 28x equals, now this is a perfect square trinomial. This is our cheat code. That's what's going to go in the binomial squared. Whoopsie, should be plus. And then 169 minus 1 is 168. Now we're going to actually get rid of this. Remember, a is thought of as 1 over 4c. In other words, it's a fraction. So instead of dividing by negative 28, which is what you're actually doing, I'm going to multiply this thing by negative 1 over 28. It just works out better. This times this gives me what I've always wanted. This times this, don't you dare distribute it through. That's just going to mess things up terribly. And then the negative times a positive is negative. And then you say a little prayer that it goes in there evenly. So 168 divided by 28. Look at that. You know you're on the right track when something like that happens. So we still aren't out of the woods. We did all that math, and we still have to let the picture tell the story. Now here's the twist. This is opposite land when it's inside the parentheses squared, so that's going to be down 1. But this is what we obey, and this is connected to the x, so this is actually left 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, down 1, and so we know that point is negative 6, negative 1. There's our vertex, negative 6, negative 1. Now we go. We know it's an x equals y squared kind. We know that a is negative. You can see it. So that means it's going to be very wide and it's going to open up to the left. Now, we can find our focus and directrix if we find C. Remember, C is a distance. This is a very rare time you can ignore that negative. So A equals 1 over 4C. Use your noggin. 4 times what is 28? 7. So C is 7. So to find my soil, remember this is left 6 to get to that point. I need to go that way 7 and then draw in the soil. So that right there is x equals 1. But to find the focus, I need to move 7 units to the left of this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. To the left of negative 6 is actually negative 13, negative 1. So there's my focus, there's my directrix. Okay, number 13, very similar to number 12, and it's a lot of math. You can just see it, one step at a time. Make good choices. So, look at this. What variable is not squared? This guy. So we want to get rid of that. And notice this is a 1, positive 1. We love that. So we're going to add 20y to both sides to get started. I'm going to flip that around. 20y equals x squared minus 8x. Now I can see what's coming. I got that plus 76, but I'm going to get all set up for this completing the square by just bumping that 76 over a little bit. Take half of that negative 8. Again, don't divide by 20 right now. That would just be counterproductive. Take half of negative 8. It's negative 4. Squared is a positive 16, but now I gotta balance it by putting the opposite there. This is my perfect square trinomial. So we're going to go ahead and factor this. This is my cheat code. Use it. X minus 4 squared. Whatever that number is, after you take half, is the number that's going in there. 76 minus 16 is just a nice, neat little 60. Now instead of dividing everything by 20, I'm going to multiply by 1/20th because I want that fraction right here. Hit that, hit that, hit that. So I get y equals 1/20th x minus 4 squared plus 60. Every picture tells a story. We got to move the vertex right 4. There's no way I'm going to get up that high, so we're just going to call that 60. So that's 460. Now this is a y equals ax squared kind. We see that our a is positive, so it's going to be a happy face, and it's going to be somewhat wide. This is going to be terribly messy, but we'll deal with it. So what's the vertex? Well, we got it. It's 460. Now we're going to use this. This is my a. 1 over 20 equals 1 over 4c. We can see that c is 5. So I go down 5 to get my soil. That's a horizontal line. Down 5 from 60 is 55, so that's y equals 55. Up 5 from here would be 465. And so there we have it. Now we're going to have to do the same sort of thing with a circle. Notice we got a 1 here, we got a 1 here. Both are squared. Remember these parabolas? One thing's not squared, one thing is. But in a circle, both things are squared. So we're going to get all organized. We're going to gather our x's, get ready to complete the square. Gather our y's, get ready to complete the square. Now remember, this equals r squared. So like a parabola, when we were just bumping this number over and dealing with it that way, we're going to actually start building our radius over here. So we're going to put the 5 over here, so it's 5 plus space plus space. Notice the difference. Over here we had spaces on the same side, so they were opposites. This time we're going to have spaces on opposite sides, so they have to be the same. That's a tongue twister, but here we go. Take half of negative 8 is negative 4. Squared is 16. If I put a 16 on that side, I got to put a 16 on that side. Take half of negative 4 is negative 2. Square it. It's 4. If I put a 4 there, I got to put a 4 there. This is a perfect square trinomial. That's my cheat code. It boils down to that. Same thing here. Steal that. Y minus 2 squared equals, that's 25, and how nice is that? So I got to move right 4, and then up 2. Radius is not 25. My radius squared is 25, so if I take the square root, I know my radius is 5.